All right, let's turn to the state of the retail investor because the latest data out from research firm Vandetrack showing that investors funneled over $1.5 billion each day into U.S. equities over the past month. Yahoo Finance's Alexandra Semenova is here with more on that. And Alex, the appetite from individual investors, retail investors certainly doesn't seem to be letting up at all.
Absolutely, Shauna. So institutional investors have been quite bearish on stocks, and yet we've seen the market go higher to start 2023. So retail investors really played a huge role to start out this year in driving, the major averages higher. They've been snapping up at U.S. equities, and it's been, quite interesting to see what an enormous role they've played in these recent price swings that we've seen. A part of this can be that retail investors still have money from pandemic stimulus. Part of it is also that the labor market is really strong. Wages are growing, they have the money to spend. Regardless, they have a lot of buying power, and they're using it to buy stocks. They're playing a really big role, but this momentum isn't quite likely to uphold because earnings season is waning, and we also have tax day coming up in April, so we're expecting a bit of a slowdown in retail purchases, but the momentum will continue to some extent.
That is another reflection of what recession, right? If there's that kind of money, it doesn't look like a looming recession. You talked about they are, but what specifically are they buying? Do we know?
Well, what do you guys think is the most popular retail stock? What do you think?
Well, this year, Tesla.
Yes, Tesla. There you go.
It's always some of those, Cathie Wood holdings.
Exactly. And so that didn't change. They kept snapping up Tesla. $9.7 billion in inflows to Tesla year to date from retail investors alone. Those allocations, of course, drove a comeback in Tesla after it had its worst year ever, up about 75% year to date, thanks to those big individual Elon Musk fans that are still allocating to the stock. Then, of course, the SPDR S&P 500 ETF, which tracks the S&P 500, that was the second most popular purchase. You have companies like Amazon, Apple, Nvidia, all rounding out the top five. And of course, we've seen really big comebacks in these mega cap tech stocks, and that's thanks to some of these purchases. But then they were also taking on more risky, more speculative pockets of the market, beaten down shares of companies like Carvana, Coinbase were also very popular among retail investors. Still looking to take on that risk. Another really interesting point from this Vandetrack report was Cathie Wood's ARK Innovation ETF was the 27th highest on the list of inflows from retail investors. And even more interesting is retail investors were actually buying the underlying stocks in her ETFs faster than ARK itself was, which is a phenomenon we last saw in 2020 and 2021. So there's really this big risk appetite from retail investors. That's, of course, amid these bets that the Fed might pause rates, might even cut this year, which are kind of changing this week as we get stronger economic data.
Incredibly fascinating numbers. That was the one.
Wrap my head around
you just
that
can't
one.
get enough of these
horrible
companies.
Though. It's so risky, especially when you take a look at the
fundamentals. It's not risky. It's lighting your money on fire.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it.
Alex, that was great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.